and on the other side, find a way to keep control of the zone and also distract that backline so that the flank goes through. So, you know, I can understand why this is a choice here, but it's also very interesting. And speaking of interesting, Ballpoint and E-Leader. Paste, what's your take?
Oh my goodness. Alright, so once again, a lot of long range. I also want to point out the Gluga Deco here, which actually has a very interesting amount of range, really. So right now, right off the bat, I do think that JP does have the right idea in this map. However, it remains to be seen whether they can actually play that out as properly. JP, one of the players, standing up with that ballpoint very well, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to outrange that, that Hydra right there on the other side.
Yeah, I think that was just very funny to see. We saw Team JP with the ballpoints just trying to make a little bit of a peek, and we saw the Hydra coming out, getting aimed at, and it was like, nope, goodbye. I'm not going in there. But the green team here actually taking... Oh, I was just gonna say they were taking the lead, but it just got turned around right here. And actually, right as I say that, they're actually taking it.
This has been a great job pressuring and pressuring and pressuring. You've seen here Reckles, which might be the most hilarious name I think I've seen at the tournament all day, Reckles. This is the dynamic that we talked about where your front line has to find ways to push back that back line, as we see what was a double inkjet pressuring the exact same spot and forcing the members back. And look at that, Light is still in a position where he can continue to drop down and pressure people, and does exactly that here, though it did not work out for them and the zone goes the other way. That's what you're looking for when you're trying to pressure an opponent.
I was going to say originally that a large portion of this match is actually going to be dictated by how many inkjets are going to be used at the exact right time. I do think that the team comp brought in by JP, since it's a little bit more backline heavy, they might be caught a little bit off guard whenever the enemy does actually bring in an inkjet. But with two inkjets being packed by both teams, it's going to be very interesting to actually see which one is able to get the other hand. Right now, Pelagos actually looking very strong, but JP once again just kind of using the right, getting in the proper snipes, the proper picks that they need, and it's just looking very even despite the fact that Pelagos actually does have the upper hand here.
Yeah, and just like you were saying, there are so many ways to go around this map. We saw JP getting a nice flank here, and we see Murda here actually with the Gluga dualies just taking their time, trying to get around, but stopped by the Hydra, and Dragon noticed him right just on time. And with 3 down on JP, Pelagos getting a nice lead going on.
Yeah, it's been a nice back and forth here, again, illustrating how important it is. Right there, you saw a flank that did not work because there wasn't sufficient distraction on the front end, and because of that, Dragon punished. And that's why, you know, that's that not-so-good flank that we talk about, where you aren't able to put all of it together. You see, great job there holding on to the zone. It looks like that is going to be it, though. Zone control has shifted now. Dragon's going to have to push all the way back. And that was just a classic situation where it's too many specials and not enough people with specials to defend it here. So, I mean, that's just a common shift that you often see in this. And we'll see if they're able to fight their way back in. I like the use of the armor a little bit early, and I like this positioning by the Hydra.
I do think that, what was it? JP does have a little bit of trouble trying to push up to the enemy base. We haven't really seen too much of that, unfortunately. When they did manage to get a 3-man advantage on their team, or going for their team, they just kind of mostly stayed around mid, but that's mostly due to the weapon comp that they have, which is a little bit more based around just kind of taking and keeping one particular section of the map rather than kind of just going all in.
Yeah, and it seems like Team Belega here is doing a great job. Right as I say that, Team JP takes the zone. They still have a little bit of a disadvantage at the moment because of the point difference. But with 1 minute left on the clock, they are still able to go for a knockout.
And their backliners are pushed into a really awkward position. Thank goodness Ace was able to push through there and get a pick, because both their E-Leader and their Hydra had gotten forced off of the top. That was an important position that they were giving up in that situation. So, again, very fortunate that a frontliner was able there to at least slow things down somewhat, but they need to slow it down a lot more. This is getting very dangerous.
I just wanted to actually point out that aerial dogfight that we saw happening in mid with a lot of the inkjets happening. It seems that with the inkjet play that comes into... Oh, right here, JP did actually manage to get the lead. It seems like a lot of the specials that they coordinate, especially with those inkjets that I mentioned earlier, does come into play does bring them a bit of an advantage right here. However, Pelagos is completely not out of the fight just yet. This is going to be their last chance to actually get the zone and see if they can secure a lead.
Only a couple specials will probably take this. We have a jump in. They need to get something going there now. I don't know if they're going to be able to get any specials. This is going to have to be desperation, and it is not going to be enough. The lead has been lost, and what a back-and-forth game. We said we wanted a closer set. The last set, the game that was the craziest, was this one. It was a clean 100-0, and now it's good.
This has absolutely been the game where it has been so close. We see Dragon here with so many splats, 16. And, you know, we just saw, I thought JP might actually had a chance. They were able to get the lead around the last moment, but just in the overtime, Pelagos was able to get it back. And, you know, I did not expect that at all, but it was just so close.
Oh, well, I mean, that's your map, Pace. Like, what's your reaction here? You've been a little muted about all this. What's good, man? What's good?
Oh, once again, seeing tower control on Black Belly. Yeah, okay, so I want to say that it can go back and forth very quickly, but it seems like whatever team does happen to build up the specials that they need in order to actually go for that final push, it can be very one-sided either way. Not entirely sure. Like, I do think that Pelagos actually does have very good use of the coordinator specials and at the right time, especially. But a lot of this is going to be dictated off how much of an early game lead that which of the two teams can actually get, really. If one of them is able to get maybe like a 2 or 3 splat advantage and then just kind of like go all in on the tower and just kind of crowd the half pipe as much as possible, then that could be game. However, it remains to be seen. Like, we even saw that the last time we were on tower control, it takes one member to just sort of go for that flank, take out as many members as they can in mid, and then just go for that backline as much as possible.
Yeah, I absolutely assume that it's going to be quite of a back and forth. Again, you are saying that one of the teams has to get a big push in the beginning, but if it's going to be like the previous tower control match on Black Belly's skate park, it can just go either way.
Either way, we will see how this one goes. The ballpoint still coming out, so that was not just a map pick. Very, very interesting. I know this is a weapon that a lot of people have tried to develop. Double splatter shot coming out as well. So, pretty conventional picks here, I would say, outside of that. Double slosher. We only see one Stingray, though, which is kind of... Or, I'm sorry, my apologies. Both are using the slosh machine for the Stingray here, so this really is part of the course.
Yeah, what I like seeing, or at least what's interesting, is that we do not see any chargers yet in this game. We saw the E-leader being used last game, but this time it's being dropped in favor of a little bit of more close-range matchup here.
Right now, this is exactly what I was mentioning before about how if a team is able to kind of crowd around the half-pipe and go for that tower push, then just it becomes a very difficult fight to... It feels like you're just kind of really backed into a corner right now. JP trying to get as many picks as they can before they actually are able to get the tower out of there. And they managed to do so, especially with the help of those inkjets. Right now, Ace trying to sit on the tower, trying to gain as much control of that half pipe as much as possible before they try to see if they can reclaim mid.
And yeah, this is just a big fight going on in the middle. Neither team kind of has map control, but you know, Team Green here, Team Pelagos just has a big lead going on. We never know what's going to happen. It seems like Team JP really has no way to actually have someone stay back, to just have to push and push and push to be able to get the win. And we see a really nice Stingray fight here, which is actually won by Dragon with 2 down. And JP might actually have the chance to get the win back here.
Yeah, we'll see if Dragon can clutch this out, but the bomb that was falling on the ground, everybody's going down. Can Moradora ride it just far enough? any distance further on this checkpoint will get it, and they let their super jumper come in. What a beautiful exchange of the baton in that situation. Past that checkpoint, is this seriously going to happen again? Is this Blackbelly Skate Park? Are you going to do this again?
Yeah, it seems like Moradora and Ace just had the right idea there. It seems like they know their position as frontliners, and they were kind of waiting for a backline to come in and take the tower before they actually go in and try to put as much pressure and chaos into the enemy base as possible. Thus, not only just securing the lead, but actually strengthening the lead as much as possible. At 15 points, it's going to be very difficult to actually make a comeback from this.
Yeah, Pelagos here is trying to just get the tower out of this small corner, but the JPs are putting enough pressure to make it just stay there and, you know, just taking their time. With just 2 minutes left on the clock, it's gonna be really tough to get it back.
Again, the balance here, the battle here again. A pretty solid defense there, I would say. 3 down and only 1 person left in the middle to try to slow down this push. Keep an eye on Light, though, at the bottom of the screen. Is coming over here on Ace. Needs to be able to get this pick. Is still in a good position to crash in now on the back line, too. And they are able to do just that. Light might have opened this game right up. Dragon moving up with him as well. Let's see. 4 specials. This is looking good.
Oh, 4 specials at the ready right now. Pelagos looking absolutely fantastic. Reckles trying to see if he can push the tower before he uses that Inkjet. Gets a fantastic pick on Ace. And right now, the game is looking very solid in their favor. Here comes the Inkjet. And Dragon trying to see if they can actually secure the rest of the tower. There are a checkpoint too. This is looking very difficult right now for JP.
There are just so many things going on. All the specials are coming out. It's just absolute chaos. And this is what I love to see. This is just basically what we came for in the House of Horrors. But just not enough points here. JP is able to stop them just in time.
That was, I think, the strongest Stingray I've ever seen. That Stingray of Moradora was the last possible thing that could have stopped that and did just enough. Now, all the specials are gone, and they have a couple specials of their own here. This is looking much more manageable on the defensive side, but as we've seen, it's not over until it's all the way over. There is a Stingray up and an Inkjet up. That might be what they opened, and again, it's Light who's cracked this open. Will it be enough?
Light seems to be doing a fantastic job of just kind of opening up these power plays for the rest of Pelagos. Right now, Light has to make an extra push right here. Probably sees it, yeah, and he does actually manage to get the push, trying to cause as much chaos for the enemy team. Yeah, here comes the tower right now. The baller coming in from Army, trying to push in, trying to see if they can take out that Stingray, which is going to be very important. Keeps 3 members of their team busy as much as possible. But Reckles does fall. Now it falls on Light to see if they can actually get the pick. And he does. And there goes the lead in favor of Pelagos. Beautiful game played by both teams.
Light
That was insane.
It was. I was just Light, the MVP right there. We said it, broke that open, got a huge pick to open it up for them again, and was the last person sitting on the tower, got the pick that they needed. I know not winning the KA, but making all the plays when they needed to be made. And I thought that Moradora was about to get the just cheekiest Stingray kill, dodging the baller and then getting a kill there. But there was still 1 person left to say something about it. It happened to be Light. And what great execution to get themselves on the board.
Yeah, that was absolutely one fantastic match to watch. It seems like we're going to have quite some repeating themes here in these matches where, yeah, one of the teams is taking an easy lead and you think you might win, but yeah, it's just an absolute back and forth, just like we predicted. And Team Pelagos was just able to get the win again in overtime, just like with Splat Zones.
I have to ask you, Nine. We've seen both teams packing a lot of Inkjets, and it seems to be the key to success in a lot of these games. What do you think really is going to happen with Clan Blitz? Do you think we're going to see a lot of the same, or is it just going to be maybe a different story? They're going to have to rely on, especially JP, is going to have to rely a little bit more on a different strategy in order to secure a victory here, because right now with Pelagos heading up a 2-0, it's with the backs against the wall, JP is going to have to actually think of something very different to actually secure the victory here.
Well, you know, I'm not sure that they have to do anything incredibly different because these are double 1-point losses, right? This is, we talk about the close 2-0 or the close 3-0. This is literally as close as it can possibly get. Both games won in overtime. I think it's just a matter of executing their game plan at the very end and staying composed. I mean, clearly they've put themselves in positions with the comps they've been running to get the wins. I don't think it's a compositional issue. I think that they just need to stay composed and not let themselves get beat in overtime for a third game. Because, I mean, at that point, that's worse than a loss, man. That is just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's not really one team that we really see dominating. Just both teams playing so well, but in the overtime, they're so close. Yeah, let's see if either team is gonna bring it back into overtime or if one's gonna dominate.
And once again, Light, being a very big MVP and key player in all of this, going absolutely ham on JP and trying to get off a couple of picks, which he does. And now, with 2 members of JP down, it's just going to be up to see what they can actually do to fend off this ball push.
Looks like they're going to be able to do exactly that. There was enough rain there that they were able to put enough little chip damage there. Army going to have to use the baller just to try to protect the jump, but now caught in a really bad situation. And now it's all JP, so it looks like a pretty good opening here. Moradora on these custom dually squelchers moving up here. You see 14 clams. They need to do a little bit of shifting around here. But Rose, what have you seen so far from the two teams as we enter the 4th minute, or minute 4? You know what I'm trying to say. 4 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, don't worry. I know what you mean. Team JP here to actually taking most of the map control, but right as I say that, we see the bubbles coming out, taking a little bit of a control back again. Either teams is not making much of a move. JP currently has the most clams, but we saw just a little bit earlier, Reckles had a power clam, but being stopped by the great defense of Team JP. And JP here, heading a power clam, throwing it in right away. Are they able to throw in more clams? Yes, and now it is up to Team Pelagos to stop them.
Oh, JP actually, for the first time, getting a very strong lead right here. And not just getting in the power clam, they managed to sneak in a couple of other clams as well. So right now, Pelagos not only losing a little bit of ground in mid, but just kind of with the enemy team just constantly closing in on their court. Right now, Pelagos does have the ball, and they're going to, or 2 power clams rather. And of course, with the ball right here, it's going to be up to the enemy team to see what they can actually do to defend against this, because this is going to be a very strong push.
They didn't jump. They had a chance to set up a jump and score both, though they do eventually do it. I feel like that was a little bit sloppier than it needed to be. They could have jumped in there, gotten 2. They actually didn't have enough pressure to really even take them out on the landing there. I guess there must have been something like some pressure up in front, because that almost looked too easy.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. He was just standing there for so long, and I was just thinking, wait, where's the rest? Where do we see the landing marker? But I guess it didn't make much of a difference, because Team JP was able to throw in the power clam from the snipe spot, and they were able to get in some clams in freely. And now Pelagos, their small lead didn't even matter that much. They have a big point difference to make.
I do think in this match, what was it? JP is doing a fantastic job of just capitalizing on the enemy's mistakes. But not only that, it's just they have so much coordination amongst themselves to sort of get all the power clams in there. Right now, Light does go down, and but they do manage to get the power clam in there. Bubbles do go out and trying to see if Marmy can grab that last power clam. However, it does get taken out, and that's going to be 2 power clams on Pelagos' side that are going to be wasted, essentially.
Yeah, that was very strange. They had 3 specials that they used right there, 3 power clams. Only one of them found their way in. This is, again, we were talking last time about how JP needed to up their execution. Like, they had the right ideas, it was just some small mistakes. I think this time it's gone the other way. JP has been executing, and there have been some small mistakes on the part of Pelagos that have really broken the game open for them.
You see some really nice plays coming out of here of Okomaru, if I'm correct. He had the baller, but there was just no one around who had a power clam to open the goal. So I guess he was like, okay, well, I'm going back to the fight, I guess. Get some splats in. Oh, and, well, there's a free power clam laying around. I guess I'll take it. And now we see Ace here, who just needs one more.
Ace just sharking around the map, trying to see if he can get a pick before he actually dunks in the power clam right now. And with the extra power clam coming in from the rest of the team, unfortunately wasn't able to jump into Ace. So right now, Reckles does take down Ace, and trying to see if he can actually go in on that ball point, which he does. So mid once again goes back to Pelagos, trying to see if they can actually regroup and gather more clams before they go for a push right here.
And with only a few seconds left on the map, JP has a really nice lead. Even though Team Pelagos has a power clam, you can see right here, they're just throwing the clams away to make sure there aren't enough to score any points. And the pressure is just so big.
Yeah, entirely too much pressure right now. That's going to fall the way through. They're booyahing now. They've got themselves a win. They are still on the board and alive. But I want to give a short shout out to throwing the clams off there. As you were saying, one of the best tactics when the opponent has an opportunity like that is you know that they have to score, and maybe they will score. But when you have a big lead, you know they have to build up a ton of clams, and one of the easiest ways to make sure they don't do that is by controlling the clams, by grabbing them, by throwing them off, making sure that there just aren't enough clams on the map for your opponent to build up and do anything with. So if you were curious as to why that's happening, that's one of the reasons that teams do that. There are a ton of very nuanced mechanics within the mode of Clam Blitz itself and clam spawning. So just a fun little bit. If you're newer to the game and aren't sure why you would want to do that, that's why.
Fantastic play coming out from JP right there. We're now bringing it to a 2-1. Is still in favor of Pelagos. Pelagos just needs one more game to be able to secure it and punch their ticket right into the finals. Going into Rainmaker Arowana Mall, I know this is going to be a very, very different game. It's not necessarily so much reliant. Well, I mean, it is obviously reliant on the team play, but just in terms of weapon compositions, we're going to be seeing a vastly different game right here. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are we going to be... Do you still think that Pelagos has a very good, solid chance of taking this, or do you think JP can actually make a reverse sweep right here?
I think both teams definitely are able to show us that they both have a chance, even though JP's last win was the first win, actually, that they won quite easily in a way. At least it was the first win that was not in overtime. But Pelagos is just so strong. I mean, they didn't win 2 games for nothing. And, you know, Rainmaker on Arowana Mall, there's this small hill next to the goal, which is such a pain. I'm not even sure if either team is going to be able to dunk it. Yeah, let's see what they are going to do. Weapon-wise, there are, you can use both the long range and the short range. I feel like the short range or the more frontliner weapons are able to put on a lot of pressure once you have the Rainmaker, and especially on this mode that might work in their favor. So I have actually no clue what either team is going to do here.
We will see very shortly what it is they're going to do. You know, this is one map where if a lot of things have to go very poorly for the dunk to happen, but oftentimes it isn't really necessary. And this isn't a map that I've seen in quite some time. So both teams, of course, going to bring out a heavy Splatling, way, way strong on this map here. Stingray itself, very powerful, but otherwise, we've got some Inkjets, double Inkjet coming in from both sides, and a mid-range threat. One bringing out the Rapid Blaster Pro Deco, the other side bringing out a Forge Pro. So one a little bit better, I would say, at the defensive side. One trying to use those bubbles to make a big push. So we'll see which side works out better.
Fantastic starting play actually coming from both teams. However, right now it seems that Pelagos does go down with a two-man situation, or they are in a two-man situation right here. Right now, Moradora is trying to go for a strong push right there, starting it up to 51. Gets taken up by the Dragon Stingray. Dragon right now trying to see if he can actually pull off any other picks right here. But right now, it's just it seems a lot of the play is going to be happening here in the center before we see any pertinent pushes happening. I don't know, Rose. What do you think?
My name's not Rose, but I'll go ahead and answer for you anyway. I think that it's, you know, it's a matter of, like, this is one of those maps where it may not all go in the big push, but you can get a lot of little pushes and continue putting pressure on. Similar to how we see in modes like Tower Control, where it's a matter of holding on to a threatening position and then eventually going through, this is one of those options. You need to find a way to sneak your flankers and things around to continue to put pressure on the opponent as they're going through. And we're seeing that once again. Again, because it was in such a scary position, all it takes is one small slip up, and eventually you might get another further push. And now 28 looking much better than 55.
Yeah, it seems like Pelagos is going to have to double down a little bit right here before they actually go for a strong push. They do manage to clear out 2 members of the opposing team. Dragon right now is going to pick up the Rainmaker, and it's just going to be a matter of just trying to inch slowly towards the mid before they actually try to see if they can go for a really, really strong push. Definitely going to be dependent on how many members they can take out, but JP is just sharking around, just trying to see. Okamura just takes out one player, just an example of what I was saying, just sharking, going to come in super clutch right there.
Yeah, clutch, and it's just a matter of keeping them pinned back in, because if you have a Stingray user that you're confident in, you can kind of slow this map down a lot because it takes so much to get a big long push going. If you can continue to just get little picks here, picks there, gain some map control back, you really limit the resources that your opponent could possibly get to, and that's a big aspect of it. You see Army pushing up here trying to do just that, and that's a rough spot against Smorador, who's really kind of solidified, I think, a lot of these situations for Team JP.
Actually, I'm sorry, guys. I had a little bit of a problem. I have a cat in this house who might look a little bit like Judd, and he broke a glass. So I'm sorry for not being able to answer, but I am back in the game right now.
Well, rip your glass, but I'm glad to have you back here right now. Kind of taking things in here, what do you see? Of course, there's the big lead, but JP has really kind of turned things around here. I feel like they're moving a little bit more cohesively. You've seen them push up. I think their frontliners have really hit a new level and are very sharp.
Yeah, it's great to see such a difference going on right now. JP is playing so well. It seems like they've really adapted. The first couple of games were so close, but now they're actually, if they are able to win this, they are able to take the wins by quite a mile, and not just in overtime.
Pelagos right now looking like they're regaining a little bit of their composure right here. 3v3 situation, but they're going to have to scramble and see what they can do, especially with 1 minute left on the clock right here. They managed to actually push it past the middle point, but Army's going to have to be super careful with that Stingray, especially lurking around, and trying to see if he could play jump rope just around that.
They always tease you. They always get past the first half of the animation just to make you think that you might be able to survive this Stingray. Of course, it is not going to be that. And a good job there running around there. Ace going a little bit overzealous in that situation and actually escapes with his life somehow. I'm not entirely sure. But the fact that the Stingray is off the table for at least the immediate future, I think, is a huge deal. And they also are going to be able to use their Stingray to maybe take it out before it comes. But the punishment in the middle here, people going down left and right. The Rainmaker has been lost. And this is a really cruddy position for it, too. Dragon's going to have to try to contend with 2 people up here, and he's going to have to wait for someone else to push up and help. And finally gets that help. Oh, this is bad. I don't know why they didn't rotate somebody over. Are they just trying to wait on the Stingray?
It's tough to say. Right now, Dragon's just playing patiently, but I think he's being given the okay. However, Ace almost manages to take out Dragon, but just in the nick of time, a fellow team member comes in, thus securing the victory for JP. It's right now it's a 2-2, and we're heading into Game 5.
Well, these are some very exciting matches. In the beginning, both teams were able to dominate their against the other teams, but now they seem to have found their worst enemy, or actually, their arch enemy.
Finally moving on to our Game 5 here that we've been waiting on. And, you know, we said this earlier in terms, you asked me, Pace, what does Team JP need to do if they need to change? When you lose 2 games in overtime, I don't think there's much that you need to change. Maybe a small adjustment, but I think it's just a matter of execution. And now, Splat Zone's Moray Towers here. This is very interesting. I think the way that the frontliners of JP right now are playing, I would have to give it to them, but this is one that I think it's just so tricky to really figure out on a conceptual level. Because, of course, you have the long-range component that can't always reach each other, but you can't just rely on your long range to open things up for your frontliners. They have to be the ones that are creative and make the plays.
Yeah, and that's going to be tricky going into this Game 5 because Splat Zone's Amore, let me tell you, I don't know. A lot of people are very divided on this map. Some people like it. I'm not the biggest fan just because it tends to go so back and forth, and you can get locked out pretty easily as well. If you do manage, or if one of the teams actually manages to not only claim the zone, but kind of go for a flank and claim the overlook, which happens to be a very key point in this map, things can go south for the opposing team quite quickly. But also, it's difficult to call too because there's so many playmakers on each team that just manage to come in super clutch for each of the plays. Ace coming in for JP, and of course for Light on Pelagos. It can go either way.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of back and forth, but on tower controls so far, I don't think we have seen anything like that. Most of it has been just complete lockdown, but this is splat zones that we are talking about, and especially on this map, there are 2 zones, so yeah, this is just asking for a back and forth.
We're seeing the double burst bomb composition come out again for Team JP in this situation. 1 on the splatter shot and 1 on this Neo Splash-O-Matic. It makes a lot of sense. It's mobility because it paints the walls very quickly too, but it's also a safe pressure tool. When you get locked out here, it can be terrifying to jump back in. And sometimes you need a tool like a burst bomb to just weaken somebody, put a little chip damage on, and allow you to get some picks that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise. So I like this choice. It's going to be difficult though because look, we have a Splattershot Junior, and that thing's going to have armors for days.
Yeah, and maybe that actually might have been a really good choice for this, to be honest. I actually have to hand it to Pelagos. The double armor coming in from their team will come in super handy to deal with the double inkjet that the Team JP has. So they're going to have to be a little bit more cautious whenever they decide to use an inkjet. Otherwise, it's not going to be to their advantage.
And it's such an interesting dynamic, too, because you actually have 2 armors. I completely forgot that the Hydra also has armor. So you've got 2 armors versus 2 burst bombs, which is this really interesting relationship between the two, because they would, like, one breaks the armor quickly, but the other one negates the chip damage. So it's like, I don't know, this is a really fun way to end this set.
Yeah, and as you can see, it actually is sort of going back and forth with Team Pelagos getting the lead right now. Their armor set is actually working quite well. I don't see a lot of Splattershot Junior being played. I think this is the first time we've been seeing it today, but it's so smart. And actually, oh, I thought Light was gonna get him, but it was over. Reckles here with the inkjet, and you know, they're taking his own back again. They're playing it so well.
Pelagos looking really strong in this play right here. It seems like they do know exactly how to actually get right into the enemy's face. However, I'm not really seeing so much of this the overlook play, which I thought would have been very interesting. However, I do have to make note that Light right now is in the enemy base, coming in from the flank, looking super strong. Army right now still kind of surviving, trying to see what he can do against this inkjet. Okamura right now not only just stuck in a weird situation, trying to like cap the zone and kind of neutralize it for the rest of the team, but just also trying to fend off against the heavy aggression that's coming in from Pelagos.
It has been a ton of aggression, but this Hydra of Dragon has just been holding things down here. He's outpainting any little chip paint that comes in. Another trade here is not going to be good. They've got to get desperate right now. Light dodging and trying to paint. Okay, that is a zone cap going back the other way. Oh, finally, they needed to make the play, and the desperation finally sets in. We see that so often where it's like, all right, 10 seconds left. Let's make an amazing play and open this game back up, and it works so often.
Yeah, they were definitely, they were just had to do that, otherwise it was over, and now the opponent has the penalty. Light here putting in a lot of pressure back again. We see the suction bomb launcher, which is just so fantastic for splat zones, and Morida is just gonna flank them. They've been noticed, but Armor here, ooh, and is able to escape. No, he is not. So close, and their clock is just ticking down. They're putting their pressure right now is so great.
Yeah, Moradora does go down, but fortunately for him, he does manage to keep the rest of the team at bay. But I'm not sure how much is it going to matter right now, especially Reckles trying to make a brilliant play, takes down Ace. However, the clock ticking down, it's going to look really, really close. JP almost managing to get it.
Not like this, not like this. The zone goes the other way. Light, can you do it again? Not able to. And back and forth and back and forth. What a great set. going all the way down to the very end. The desperation play saves them, and then they're able to take it all the way back in what was more or less one consistent full-on push. And man, oh man, our two teams that had not lost a game heading in to semifinals give us a fantastic 3-2 set.
I honestly thought the Pelagos would have taken that because they had a lot of things going in their favor, really. They had that like double ink armor comp. They had a lot of painting, as you said, Nine. The Hydra just doing a fantastic job of just kind of repainting whatever chip that was coming in from JP. But just in the nick of time, just JP just managed to get it together. Not only did they manage to get the picks that mattered, but then they took the overlook. They kind of just converged in on the snipe. It seems like they just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Rose, can you tell me anything else that I was just missing there? I think that's pretty much it, but I'm pretty sure that there was just so many components about that match that just made everything so interesting.
Yeah, I have not much to add. Just telling you guys that it was such an intense match. I thought Pelagos was gonna take it as well, but the moment JP got their control back, it was just over. They took it and they won, and it was so great to see just JP since their first two losses in overtime adapting and then just taking it easily.